After months of uncertainty over the timeline of the Russian invasion, there is finally some clarity over when the war is expected to end. The head of Ukraine's military intelligence has now said that the majority of fighting will be over by the end of the year. He says that the turning point in the conflict with Russia would come in the second part of August, and also claims that the Russian President Vladimir Putin is in a very bad psychological and physical condition. Listen in.
Переломний момент наступить в другій половині серпня. Більша частина активних дій, воєнних дій, завершиться до кінця цього року. Рух в цьому напрямку вже розпочався, і його вже неможливо зупинити.
On the other hand, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has said that it is hard to predict for how long the war would last. He also said that the West has announced a total hybrid war against Russia. Lavrov added that efforts made by the West to isolate Russia were doomed to fail.
Коллективный Запад нам объявил тотальную гибридную войну. И трудно прогнозировать, сколько все это продлится, но ясно, что последствия почувствуют все без исключения. Мы делали все, чтобы избежать прямого столкновения, но раз вызов брошен, мы его, конечно, принимаем. К санкциям нам не привыкать. В том или ином виде они были практически всегда.
Ukrainian military forces released footage showing destroyed Russian military vehicles. The video appears to show several burnt-out military vehicles and a bridge broken into several parts. Ukraine says that these images were taken along the Donets River. Britain's defense ministry said that it seems that Russia lost armored maneuver elements of at least one battalion tactical group at this river. Let's now take a look at what is happening on ground. The invasion has caused immense damage to human life, of course. In a bone-chilling video, Ukrainian soldiers were seen loading refrigerated train wagons with bodies of dead Russian soldiers in Kyiv. An agreement to transfer bodies remains unresolved.
Це декілька сотень тіл окупантів. Таких составів є декілька по території України. Зберігатися вони будуть тут до тих пір, поки не буде на міждержавному рівні прийнято рішення про передачу цих тіл. Українська сторона готова віддати їх вже завтра або навіть сьогодні. Проте звернень щодо отримання цих тіл російською стороною на даний час не було.
Meanwhile, Ukraine's president has now said that talks are underway on evacuation of medical professionals and wounded fighters from the Azovstal steel plant in Mariupol. He said that mediators are doing everything they can to ensure a safe passage of those who are still inside the plant.
Не припиняємо намагань врятувати з Маріуполя та Азовсталі усіх наших людей. Наразі продовжуються дуже складні перемовини про наступний етап евакуаційної місії, вивезення важкопоранених медиків. Йдеться про велику кількість людей. Звичайно, робимо все, щоб евакуювати і усіх інших, кожного нашого захисника і захисницю. Вже задіяли для відповідних переговорів усіх в світі, хто може бути найбільш впливовими посередниками.
Now, for more insights on the Russia-Ukraine war and if a probable end could be in sight at this point, joining us now with more insight is Ruslan Bortnik, the director of the Ukrainian Institute of Politics. He joins us now from Kyiv. Ruslan, welcome to WION World is One.
Hello, colleagues.
Now, Kyiv's head of military intelligence has clearly said that the war in Ukraine could reach a breaking point by August and end in defeat for Russia before the end of the year. What are your predictions and assessment of the situation?
Of course, I would like to believe in this information, and I would like to stop this war just now, not only in the end of August. But talking about this statement of Ukrainian intelligence service, I think there are few reasons for this statement. The first reason, of course, it's a new American law for Lend-Lease for Ukraine, which give American President Joe Biden enhanced authority to support Ukraine by the different type of modern weapon and resources, military supplies and so on, for general sum of $40 billion United States dollars. And the second reason, and of course in Ukraine, intelligence service of Ukraine thinks that this help will make a big influence on the situation in the battlefields in the east of Ukraine till the August, and Ukraine will obtaining such weapons will take the victory on these battlefields in the August.
Right.
The second reason is also important. It's a reason of hope. It's not easy to live today in Ukraine. It's not good social economical situation with the security, and of course Ukrainian society asking about the final fear of this conflict. And these dates it means that Ukrainian government, Ukrainian intelligence service are sure that the war will stop in August, and all Ukrainians should wait only this time, not many years. It's
right. Ruslan, just interjecting right there, I have a very quick question for you, a follow-up to what you're talking about. There are indications that there is a timeline as to when this war could end. That is something that the world is interested in, but the scenes on ground suggest otherwise given the Russian aggression. Do you think this war will end according to the timeline predicted?
Unfortunately, I don't. I haven't. I don't see any reasons for which war should stop nearest months. I think Ukraine has enough resources, and Russia, unfortunately, too, has enough resources to continue this war many years. And only peace negotiations, only international arbitration from the most powerful countries from around the world should stop this war. And I don't think another way. Moreover, nowadays negotiations between the sides are also degrading all the time. And we don't see any real result of this negotiation. Moreover, we don't see all the sides of this conflict around the table. Only Ukraine and Russia talking between themselves, but United States, Europe Union are out of this table, and it means there is any agreement it's impossible for nowadays. Of course, we understand. Of course, we understand that war will go down after the sides of conflict will exhaust their resources, and so war should go up and down. But this situation should continue very long time.
Right, Ruslan, thanks so much for all those insights. Thanks for joining us on this broadcast from Kyiv.
Thank you.
And now, of course, for the other side of the story and perspectives from the other side, joining us now is Umit, Nazmi, Hazir, the political scientist who joins us now from Moscow in Russia. Umit, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for your invitation.
Now, I want the Russian perspective in all of this. In your expertise, when will this war end, and who stands to lose what at this point in the war?
I think, from my perspective, the war will be lasting for a long time, because first of all, negotiations are not going well as we wish, and what's more, there is no reason to come to end in the war. And on the other hand, it is also early to say whether Russia or Ukraine has succeeded in the war yet, and that's why I think the war will be lasting for months. It is more than August, or maybe it could take more than a year, I guess.
So, do you agree to the stipulated timeline that has been predicted at this point, that the war may end at this timeline predicted? And who do you think stands to lose, and who do you think stands to win?
No, I don't think. I totally do not agree with this timeline, because that first of all, Russia must gain something in order to come to peace, because the war also very costs for Russia. And for another thing, in March, I was more hopeful, because in March there were some negotiations, face-to-face negotiations. One of them was held in Istanbul, and both sides, after the negotiations, following the negotiations in Istanbul, both sides expressed some positive signals and messages. However, after April, it changed, and the situation has become more and more worse than the beginning of in the beginning of March, and the negotiations right now face to face are not held. It is one of the reasons, because in order to come to peace and in order to end the war, you must have negotiations. However, currently the negotiations are not held. It is, I think, it is important reason.
Right, absolutely. Just a final question there. What's happening in Russia and the comments coming from Russia are very different when it comes to talking about a resolution to this conflict. We've heard the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov say that the West has announced a total hybrid war against Russia, and it is hard to predict how long it will last. Lavrov also said that the implications of the same would be felt everywhere. Is this a kind of an ominous warning in your estimation?
According to official discourse and rhetoric of Russia, they always accuse of the West, because Russia claims that the West wants this war going on, and the West, especially United States, is taking advantage of this war. It is the official discourse, official position of Russia. And for another thing, as far as you know, that Russia has changed the strategy of the war, because in the beginning of the war, Russia was targeting to capture northern Ukraine, and Russian troops, military troops, were settled around Kiev. However, in 1 month ago, almost 1 month ago, Russia has changed the strategy, and Russia withdrew troops from around Kiev and northern Ukraine, and Russia right now is focusing on eastern Ukraine and especially Donbas region. And for another thing, Russia is targeting to reach southern Ukraine. It means that Russia wants to continue this war, and Russia wants to capture more and more territory in Ukraine.
Right, Umit. Thanks so much for all your perspectives and insights. Thanks for joining us on WION World
Thank you very much
at this hour.
for your invitation.
WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.